In the ancient lands of Mesopotamia, where the earth was scorched by the relentless sun, and kingdoms rose and fell with terrifying swiftness, a war brewed that would alter the course of history. It was not a war fought over borders or land alone, but one of betrayal, greed, and vengeance. And at the heart of this unfolding drama stood a man named Abram, who would be drawn into the maelstrom of conflict not by choice, but by duty and loyalty. The world was ruled by powerful kings, men who believed themselves to be gods. They built their kingdoms on the backs of their people, demanding obedience and tribute. One such king was Chedorlaomer, the ruthless ruler of Elam. For 12 years, he held 5 smaller kingdoms, Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela, under his oppressive thumb, extracting wealth and resources from their lands in exchange for the promise of protection. But in the 13th year, the kings of these 5 cities had had enough. Bera, king of Sodom, and Bersha, king of Gomorrah, along with their allies, made a bold decision to rise against their overlord. In the fertile plains near the Jordan River, the 5 kings gathered in secret, their faces set in grim determination. They whispered of rebellion, their voices thick with defiance as they planned to throw off the yoke of Chedorlaomer's rule. It was a bold move, but also a dangerous one. Chedorlaomer, a man known for his cruelty and unyielding thirst for power, wasted no time in responding. He called upon his allies, Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasa, and Tidal, king of Goyim, to join him in crushing the rebellion. Together, these 4 kings commanded a vast army, one that stretched across the horizon like an unending sea of death. As they marched across the lands, Chedorlaomer's coalition ravaged everything in their path. They showed no mercy, burning cities to the ground and slaughtering entire populations. In Ashtaroth-Karnaim, they decimated the Rephaim. In Ham, they wiped out the Zuzites, and in Shave-Kiriathaim, they crushed the Emites. Even the Horites in the hills of Seir were no match for their onslaught. Each victory sent a clear message: resistance was futile. With the heart of rebellion torn apart, the armies of Sodom, Gomorrah, and their allies gathered for a final, desperate stand in the Valley of Siddim. The landscape was treacherous, filled with tar pits that bubbled ominously under the heat of the sun. The kings of the rebellious cities knew they were vastly outnumbered, but their pride, and the stakes of their rebellion, would not allow them to surrender. As Chedorlaomer's forces descended upon them, the earth shook beneath the pounding hooves of horses and the march of soldiers. The clash of battle was fierce. The soldiers of the 5 kings fought valiantly, but they were no match for the seasoned warriors of Chedorlaomer. The valley turned into a chaotic storm of blood and steel, as bodies fell into the treacherous tar pits, their screams of agony swallowed by the bubbling black death. Fear overtook the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah as they saw their armies being decimated. In a moment of cowardice, they abandoned their men, fleeing into the hills to save themselves. Their armies, leaderless and broken, were left to face the wrath of the enemy alone. The rebellion was crushed, and the victorious kings looted the cities, taking everything of value, including the people. Among those captured was Lot, the nephew of Abram, who had been living near Sodom. Far away in the peaceful hills of Canaan, Abram lived a quiet and humble life. He had no interest in the wars of kings or the affairs of the powerful. His concern was for his family, his flocks, and his God. But when news reached him that his nephew Lot had been taken captive, something stirred within him. Lot was more than just family, he was like a son to Abram. And Abram was not a man to abandon those he loved. Determined to rescue his nephew, Abram gathered the men of his household, 318 trained servants. It was a small force compared to the armies of the kings, but Abram had faith in a power far greater than the strength of swords. He set out with his men, following the trail of Chedorlaomer's army as they marched north, laden with the spoils of war. Abram's journey led him to Dan, where the enemy army had set up camp, confident in their victory. Night had fallen, and the soldiers, believing themselves safe, were deep in sleep. But Abram was a man of strategy as well as faith. Under the cover of darkness, he divided his men into groups and surrounded the camp. Without warning, Abram and his men launched a surprise attack. Chaos erupted in the enemy camp as the soldiers scrambled to defend themselves, but it was too late. Confusion spread like wildfire as Chedorlaomer's forces, caught completely off guard, fell before Abram's small but determined band of warriors. The once mighty kings, who had terrorized nations, now found themselves fleeing for their lives into the night, their arrogance shattered. The victory was swift and decisive. Abram not only rescued Lot but also liberated the other captives and reclaimed the stolen goods. As dawn broke over the desert, Abram led the rescued people back home, his heart filled with gratitude to the God who had delivered them. Upon his return, Abram was met by a mysterious figure, Melchizedek, the king of Salem and a priest of the Most High God. Melchizedek came bearing gifts of bread and wine, offering them to Abram in a sacred ritual. "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth," Melchizedek proclaimed. "And praise be to God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hand." Abram, humbled by the priest's blessing, gave Melchizedek a tenth of everything he had recovered, recognizing that his victory had come not through his own strength, but through the favor of God. When the king of Sodom offered Abram a share of the spoils, Abram refused, his voice steady and resolute. "I have sworn an oath to the Lord, God Most High, that I will accept nothing belonging to you, not even a thread or the strap of a sandal, so that you will never be able to say, 'I made Abram rich.'" With that, Abram returned to his quiet life, but the legend of his courage and faith would echo through generations. He was a man who had stood against kings and armies, not for power or riches, but for the love of his family and the honor of his God. The War of Kings may have been a battle for earthly power, but for Abram, it was a testament to the power of faith, loyalty, and divine providence. Please like, comment and subscribe this channel so we can continue to create more biblical war stories for you to enjoy. Till then, keep the faith knowing the God we serve is mighty and powerful.